Welcome on back. Hello and welcome. This is the Cali to Cuse Up in the Rafters podcast, your home for college basketball from Cali to Cuse and everywhere in between. I'm your host, Anthony Scott, joined alongside me, as always, Lucas Silverman. And today we are without our third member of our team, Andrew Poppy Carey, because MLB Network's got him working some crazy hours. We couldn't get our schedules to link up, so sad he couldn't join us. But Lucas, you're here to fill the role of two people tonight.
Well, Cali to Cuse, we don't sleep. We work 24/7. Me and you have the day shift, Poppy has the night shift, and that's just how life works. So we're working 24/7, getting that money, and providing you the best podcast you've ever heard.
I should have gave you the intro today. That was a beautiful way to introduce our podcast.
I'm locked and loaded. Obviously, it's Friday. We're working. We don't stop. I could be out right now. I could be doing a variety of different things. But no, I'm spending time with you. And I wish Poppy was here to join us, but he's making money right now.
Yeah, he's getting that bread. Kelly to Cuse. So we got to wrap things up here. Usually we drop episodes on Friday. We try to get the schedules to work, so that's why we're a day late. This episode's dropping on Saturday, recorded on Friday night. And hopefully you're tuned into the YouTube. Obviously, we're everywhere on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there. But we're also on YouTube, and I hope you tuned into the YouTube today because you'd see some crazy facial hair out of me today.
I don't know what I'm looking at. You fully went Drew Timme, and this is the last time that people are going to see you like this because you're shaving it off because you got a big trip coming up.
Yeah, we're heading out to Florida actually Saturday afternoon, so we had to sneak in the podcast here before I made my way down south. But yeah, in honor of Drew Timme just dominating the college basketball tournament, I wish Gonzaga could win it all. We'll get into that in a second, but I had to pay some homage to the best big man in the tournament this year, Drew Timme, and his monster facial hair. I actually just got a Snapchat posted on my story. One of my friends said I look like Aaron Rodgers as well. Yeah,
I see a little Aaron Rodgers. It's just so long at the bottom. That's what gets me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I'm so used to fluffing my beard, and it's just not there until I get to the very top.
I mean, you can grow facial hair like no other. You'll probably have the full beard back in 2 days.
Yeah. I give it a month's time, it'll definitely be back. That only took 3 months to grow. So yeah, exactly. I can just change it. I'm ever changing out here. Who knows what I'm going to come back with? But this is the first elite facial hair over here. But this is the first time I'll be clean shaven since my Minnesota days, 2 years ago now. It's been a while. But summer's coming. I don't want all the sweat in there, so I had to get rid of it. Nice little thing to end the March Madness tournament with, and also to end the Kelly to Cuse podcast with. I don't know if we'll be back with you next week. It's a sad week for us. I wish Poppy could be here for it, but college basketball is over. We got to reinvent ourselves a little bit. We need some time to get our schedules to match up with each other, so we're going to take a little hiatus. But we're here for the last episode, one last ride.
One shining moment.
The Kelly to Cuse. We should just show a highlight reel all episode of our best clips.
Just literally puffing and drooling out of our minds. We're on good.
So we will definitely be back in the future. Probably give us a month or two to get things figured out. But follow us on our Twitter at Kelly to Cuse. That's where you'll get all of our updates. Our Twitter isn't going anywhere. So definitely give us a follow there, and you'll be up to date with everything happening. Speaking of which, we're still on the Challenge Sports. They're a new sports media company. We partnered up with them at the beginning of the season. So you can catch all of our episodes also at the challenge-sports.com. Definitely check them out. They're the next big thing in sports media. Definitely give them a look. Love all their content, and new merchandise dropping soon. So that should be exciting. But let's get into the college basketball talk. I got the Drew Timme facial hair working. Sadly, we cannot talk about Gonzaga and Drew Timme dominating because they fell in the national championship game. We kind of predicted it was going to be Baylor Gonzaga, and then it'd be a toss-up from there. But the game really was not a toss-up.
It really spoke a lot to me looking back on it. Baylor just dominated down the stretch to the best of their ability. They smoked Houston, and going into the national championship game, Gonzaga probably had some tired legs because they had to go to overtime with UCLA. And Baylor was just ready to go from the start. It looked like Gonzaga, West Coast people like me would understand. We're a little more laid back. We kind of let things build up and have momentum towards things. Right off the tip, Baylor was in their grill, no space to breathe. you were getting D'd up, and they just started making all of their shots to begin. I think you wrote that 11-1 start to begin the game, and I don't think Gonzaga has ever been punched in the mouth like that. And we've always talked about when you go up against these schools and you go and you're down and how your execution is down the stretch. There was a couple moments that we can go into, but wasn't me and Pop bet against Baylor. Poppy had a money line. I took him with the points. I liked the points. Didn't win on the over, but I think Baylor was just the better team and was playing better basketball on that particular day than Gonzaga could.
Yeah, I think definitely Baylor showed that they are probably slightly the better team, but definitely if these teams play 10 times, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 times it's going to be decided by 5 points, definitely 10 points or less. I think Baylor definitely shocked them with their defense, and that's what they've been doing all year to teams. I mean, they had the best turnover percentage in the country. They were turning over Jalen Suggs. Suggs got into foul trouble early, which really hurt Gonzaga and also contributed to that early run. But
it doesn't hurt Gonzaga, though, if Drew Timme and Corey Kispert are All-Americans. Should that matter, though? Is he really the engine that runs? I feel like he definitely has gotten more of the national spotlight because he's a freshman. But there's 2 other All-Americans on that team. And Corey Kispert, quiet. Drew Timme did his thing. Once he got involved in the offense, but he just couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Nembhard, their backup point guard for Gonzaga, is a great player. But nothing moves that Gonzaga offense like Jalen Suggs. I feel like he's the reason why Kispert and Timme were All-Americans. I feel like he's just one of those special point guards that puts people in the right position. Timme still did his work. I mean, he was 5 for 7 from the field. That's the problem. He only got the ball. I mean, he got the ball a lot of times, but he only put up 7 shots. So you got to find better space to get him open. But, yeah, this was the least amount of points Gonzaga had scored all year long. Once again, just speaking to that Baylor defense. And the only bet that I took on national championship night was Baylor over points because I thought it'd be a close game, but the styles of play, these teams love to run, and Gonzaga's defense isn't that great. So I knew Baylor would hit their over. I didn't know if they'd win the game. And if they did win the game, which they did, I wasn't sure if Gonzaga would hit their over. So I went easy with the Baylor. Cashed out with the money.
What's the line on that one? What'd you get on that? What line did you get on that one?
I think it was 77.5.
What, minus 110 or what was it?
Oh, yeah. It was even money. Yeah, it might have been minus 120 maybe.
That's a good bet. Very, very well done.
Solid way to end out the college basketball betting season. We all did pretty well on the championship night. But, yeah, like you said, I mean, Jalen Suggs, obviously, he came back around, scored over 20 points in the game, but just being out early really hurt them. And another surprising stat was Baylor out-rebounded Gonzaga 38-22. Well, I mean, Mark Vital down low was just eating boards all night.
Yeah, I mean, 16-5 on the offensive rebounding. I mean, that's just Vital had more offensive rebounds than the entire Gonzaga team combined, which is just a crazy stat. I also just feel like looking at these splits in these minutes, it looked like Gonzaga definitely with Jalen Suggs out for a little bit. His numbers went down. They only ran 7 deep. Watson and Cook played 13 and 10 minutes respectively. But when you look at Baylor, they just had more fouls to give. I feel like the fouls were 19-17, but it really felt like Gonzaga was getting the foul calls because of the aggression they were playing with. But they could have Flo foul out, Vital foul out, Chachi, Chama.
I don't know how to say his last name. I know who you're talking about.
God bless me for trying to figure out how to spell or pronounce his name. But they just had a lot of bodies that throw at them, and they were just aggressive, and they could kind of burn those fouls. I think out of the 19 fouls, Thamba fouled out, Vital had 3, and Chachi had 4. So 12 out of the 19 fouls were those 3 big men, and they could just be aggressive. And, you mentioned Davion Mitchell playing the best basketball of his entire life down the stretch. And, even with Jalen Suggs being in foul trouble, he shot the most. He had 15 shots compared to Timme's 7 and Kispert's 12.
He tried taking over there late, and they actually went on a run. Gonzaga, I remember, pulled it within single digits for a little bit, and it just leads you to believe if they didn't start out down 11-1, the whole game I feel like is changed. It's kind of a shame that it went that way because I thought we were in for a great treat of a game, and this one was over kind of at halftime. I mean, Gonzaga, don't take anything away from them. Yes, it was a blowout, but Gonzaga, they deserve to be here. They were, 30-0 going into it. Yeah, they played the West Coast Conference, but, I mean, nobody beat Baylor. And to be honest with you, nobody was really close to beating Baylor. Wisconsin kind of held it close in the second round, but that game really wasn't as close as the final score showed. I think Baylor was just that dominant this year. Their defense Remind me of that Villanova defense. They showed why again. And Gonzaga, though, I think these were the two best teams. Your thoughts on that? Did we get the two best teams in the finals?
Yeah, we definitely did. I think for us, high basketball IQs that we have of knowing Gonzaga and Baylor are the normal average fan that just tunes on the national championship or like Gonzaga and Baylor, what? But when you look at their records and you start to think about it, they did have some high-profile players. You had Jalen Suggs. You had a freshman trying to give Gonzaga its first national championship. You had a team that was undefeated trying to do that for the first time since the 80s. And yeah, they had a great game against UCLA, and that was a classic game that we saw. So it was like, how do they rebound from that? I think two really important moments, like you mentioned, when it was single digits, was Gonzaga had a couple of free throw opportunities, and I think they missed 3 out of 4 in a 2 or 3 possession spurt, and that could have just dealt into that lead more. They did shoot 15 of 21, so they only missed 6 free throws, but when you're trying to make a comeback like that, those are like the timely free throws. And I think it was Nembhard. It was either Nembhard or Ayayi. They missed 2 free throws that I think could have brought it within like 7 or 8. And that really starts to put the pressure on Baylor a little bit because they did start to get in the flow of their offense at a point. It was just too little too late, unfortunately. And, Baylor shot 44% from 3.
I was going to touch on that. Yeah, they're the best three-point shooting team. I kind of said that going in. If they make 10, 12 threes, they're probably going to win the game. They shot 10 for 22. They were just raining in threes. But yeah, those free throws were huge. It was 2 missed free throws, maybe even 3, because my roommate Joe tried to chase some money, put a Gonzaga live bet in at plus 1,500. And they were making a little run. He was getting excited, then he misses the free throws. It just
Suggs he missed 2 free throws, and then Suggs missed the first of a 1-and-1.
That's a killer. That's just an absolute killer. You expect 2 points when you go to the line, you come away with none. And honestly, Gonzaga, momentum is huge. And missing those free throws also just kills momentum. So, you could just say it was only 3 points, but I think that would have carried over. Like you said, it would have made the game a lot tighter. People would have played differently. Definitely the momentum swinging in Gonzaga's favor. Baylor all of a sudden is playing like, how are we going to blow this instead of we need to go out there and win it. Either way, though, credit to Baylor. Their defense is just another level Gonzaga had yet to see. I think if these two teams played once in the beginning of the year, I think if we didn't have that COVID cancellation in November or December, whenever that was, when these two teams were scheduled to play, I think Gonzaga wins in the national championship. Because I think they would have seen the defense, known how to prepare more. It was just such a shock for them in the beginning.
No, I see the logic with that. I think Baylor definitely slipped a little bit with that cancellation because they probably would have lost to Gonzaga and then would have had more juice. I think Gonzaga early in the season was just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, they were well ahead of everybody else.
And then Baylor had that COVID issue where a lot of their players couldn't play, and so they dipped a little bit. But time in and time again, they proved out why they're the best team. And, Butler was an All-American. Like, he was no scrub. He was fantastic. Davion Mitchell, I believe, was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
He locks up, so I wouldn't be shocked if he won that.
And then, they just had a few more bodies to throw at the big man for Gonzaga and just to keep applying that pressure. And, yeah, if they probably played 10 out of 10, it's probably 5-5, 6-4, one way or the other. It'll be close. And I think the moment was a little too big for Jalen. You can't – if you're an elite player, like, you cannot get 2 fouls. Like, everyone knows the one way to beat Gonzaga was to get one of those 3 in foul trouble. And the worst one to get in foul trouble, like you mentioned, was Jalen Suggs. Mm-hmm. So it just affected the game completely. Not to say Nembhard's a scrub. He's a University of Florida transfer from a Power 5 school. It's kind of why you went to an elite program like Gonzaga to bring it home. He did his thing, not going to take anything away from Nembhard. Actually, he started, but I don't even know who. Someone came in for. Was it Watson? Probably, but
the Cook guy.
The Cook guy, yeah. So like even him, he didn't shoot it. He didn't shoot once. Yeah. And you have Jalen Suggs overcompensating for the missed time and obviously being punched in the mouth, and it just wasn't their night. Whether they were fatigued or not, or just Baylor just pounced on them.
Yeah, I think fatigue definitely could have played a factor. That overtime game was only 2 days prior, and it was a wild overtime game as well. But, yeah, credit to the Baylor guards. We always say guards win in March, and I think you could make a case that Baylor did have the best guards. You already mentioned Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, and then Maceo Teague, another one. Literally a 3-headed monster. that combined for nearly 60 points against Gonzaga. You're able to control the tempo, and if you can play defense at the guard position, it just definitely throws the entire rhythm of the other team off. So credit to Baylor, credit to Scott Drew getting his first national championship and the school's first national championship. Scott Drew, a very underrated coach. I hope he stays at Baylor. I want to see them continue, see what else he can do, see if he can actually build a legacy at Baylor. But Mark Few and Gonzaga, they've made it to the tournament every year since we've been alive, it seems like. They used to be known as frauds. Now I think 4 of the last 6 years, they made it to the Elite Eight. Might be 3 of the last 6. Either way, though, Gonzaga is now for real. The question is Mark Few going to stick around long enough to get a ring?
I think it's definitely possible. You're losing Suggs. You're losing Kispert. I think you're losing –
It's probably not going to be next year.
But they're reloading. They are a good program. You know, Mark Few has done better with worse talent. So I believe in him. I don't see him leaving Gonzaga. It seems like he's pretty settled. And, you know, Larry Drew took him forever to win a national. I think he got hired in 2003. And I remember that one year they had like Taurean Prince and a ton of good NBA athletes, and they lost in the first round of the tournament in 2016.
Yale. How does Yale get more?
I think I actually picked Yale. I think I picked Yale to beat them. It was crazy. But, like, you know, they've gone through the ringer. And they got rewarded for that. So shout out to Baylor. It's good to see the Power 5 stay in control of the national championships, not in these mid-majors.
Yeah, I wish Gonzaga had it right. How did your bracket do? My main one did not do well. I made 3, so one of my brackets was bound to do well, and I had Baylor Gonzaga in the final in one of them. Should have put it in all 3 of them. I kind of knew this was going to be the championship, but overall, a bad bracket season for me.
It's not even worth going into how bad my bracket was. I had Illinois versus Alabama because I loved Alabama. I loved Alabama. I only had one Final Four team right, and that was Gonzaga. I was out before it started.
Yeah, it sounds like we're in Illinois lost. It was rip up the bracket.
It was a waste of $20.
Yeah. It was a waste of $20, but it wasn't a waste of $20 for everybody. Taking home first place in our Kelly DeCuse bracket challenge is Greg Carey. You may know the last name. Sounds familiar. It is Andrew Carey's cousin. Poppy's cousin takes home the big family. I know, stays in the family. I don't know about that. I think Poppy put in 2 brackets and one under his cousin's name. We might need to launch an investigation into the Kelly DeCuse bracket challenge. But taking home the long sleeve shirt in our free bracket challenge was your roommate, Lucas, able to take home the Kelly DeCuse challenge shirt.
Yeah, my roommate Shane won. He was actually the only one of 2 people that picked Baylor. So, I mean, if you got Baylor, you were in good shape. So, shout out to Shane. He's out of town this weekend, but I can't wait. Can they send 2? I want one. Like, how is it that somebody that isn't even affiliated with the podcast gets merch before the people who are actually on the podcast get merch?
Listen, I need to talk to the higher ups. I think we need to make that shirt available in the challenge shop because my friends have been asking me about it. Can I buy one of those shirts? So I'm going to talk with the higher ups at the challenge, see what we can do because the merch is pretty fire. Got a picture of it. Yeah, it is some bullshit. I got a picture on our Twitter of the shirt, at Kelly DeCuse. You can check it out. Hopefully it'll be available soon. Stay tuned to our Twitter for that. But congratulations, Shane. We'll get that shirt out to you here soon. Easy to find you since you live with Lucas. Shouldn't be trouble there. But let's just talk about quickly some draft stock of some guys. Obviously, the Final Four, March Madness. We've seen guys fly up draft boards just because of their March Madness performance. Obviously, there's a multitude of guys we could talk about. But let's just stick to the players that participated in the Final Four. Obviously, Jalen Suggs was a top 5 pick coming into this. He hits the big shot in the Final Four. That's still in my head, still in everybody's head to beat UCLA. Did he rise up draft boards? Do you think he could be the number 1 pick?
Yeah, I've been looking at different draft boards to get a gauge of it. Everyone's so sold on Cade Cunningham, the 6'8" point guard out of Oklahoma State. Had a fantastic season, was incredible. And then personnel-wise, what his ceiling could be for Evan Mobley at USC is incredible. And then Jalen Suggs. I think those 3 are head and shoulders above everybody else. And then it's just a matter of who gets the first, second, and third pick. Like, what do they need? You know, if Minnesota gets the first pick again, they don't need Jalen Suggs. They already have Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell unless they want to move one of those pieces. But maybe Jalen Suggs would be great for them as a guy that just loves to push the ball and spread the wealth. Like, he definitely has that mentality. But Cade Cunningham probably would be the pick there. And if you're like Houston, yeah, you'll grab anybody that's good. So Jalen Suggs would definitely be up there too. I just think he's definitely going to be in the top 3, and it's just going to be dependent on, the draft workouts. But I think he was always solidified as a top 5, but now he's certified top 3.
Yeah, I think you got to pay attention to the G League guys, Jalen Green, and then was it Kuminga? I don't know what's the other guy.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga is up there too. I think it's those 5 too.
I think it's those 5. So I think Suggs could fall somewhere in there. I think his March Madness performance should put him ahead of the other G League players. I mean, the way he performed, that's the advantage, I guess, of going to college, is you get to play on that national stage, and he showed out. So we'll see if he does go ahead of them. I think it'll be interesting. To be honest with you, Cade Cunningham, I think he's a surefire good player, above average player, maybe even a superstar. Definitely has the potential. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's going to be the best player from this draft class. I think he is the safest pick at number 1. So that's why he's number 1. He will go number 1. But Jalen Suggs, don't sleep. I think he could have a great career, and despite going number 3, 4, or 5. We'll move down the list. Davion Mitchell. This is all according to Bleacher Report as well. I have him as number 10 on Bleacher Report. Davion Mitchell was kind of considered the second best prospect going into the season behind Jared Butler on Baylor. And now he's ahead of Jared Butler, and I think for good reason.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell, the only issue with him is that he's a junior, so he's already 22 years old. I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to Davion Mitchell. But his performance has been incredible. He's a little undersized for the position he plays on Baylor. He's 6'2", and he wasn't really playing the point guard position. He was kind of like the 2 guard, and that's a really small 2 guard. So I want to see his ball handling go up, but he can snipe. Kind of, and a great defender. Kind of gives me, like, I don't know, Marcus Smart vibes. What do you think about that?
I love it. That is a great comp right
there. Yeah.
I think he shoots the 3 ball better than Marcus Smart, at least coming out of college at least. Davion Mitchell's a sharpshooter. He's a perfect 3-and-D guy at that 2 position. I think he has a great fit on any team. All-star level, maybe not, but great piece for any team that gets him. I think he's certified top lottery pick.
I think he's definitely worked his way into the first round, and I think on a flyer, like, he could surprise a lot of teams that need that. I don't know if he'll be lottery, but I think he'll be like in the teens, somewhere in the teens, late teens maybe.
We'll have to see. Now the next pick, next guy I got listed here is Corey Kispert, Gonzaga. This is one guy that I know I'll speak for Poppy on this. Poppy thinks that Kispert's going to be a bust, just a sharpshooter really at Gonzaga, and had a poor tournament. He was an All-American in college, so you got to put some respect on his name. Bleacher Report has him going 13. Would you draft him in the lottery, Lucas?
I would not. Personally, no, I'm out on Corey too. I do like his size. He's 6'7".
Yeah, he does have size.
He has a good size. Joe Harris?
I like it. That's definitely a potential. I don't think he's going to shoot the 3 ball that well, to be honest with you. I mean, he shot it well in the regular season against WCC teams when he's getting wide open looks. But in the tournament, he didn't really show out. And if he performed well in the tournament, I'd say Joe Harris. But now I'm going to say bust.
He's also 22. So, like, he's also old. And I just don't know his value, like, against good competition. Like,
athleticism's another level in the NBA.
So I think he is going to be a lottery pick, unfortunately, just because of the pedigree. But I wouldn't personally take him in the lottery.
And then a couple guys that played in the Final Four game. I'm going the wrong way. Jared Butler first. Jared Butler, I've skipped over him. He's ranked number 21 in Bleacher Report. I like him a lot. I think he's got to get better scoring the ball. I mean, he scores it well. It's just shooting. I don't know. There's something about me, Jared Butler. I just don't see him in the NBA, even though his skill is off the charts. He's been a great player on the national championship team, was the leading scorer all year. But something about him just says not NBA for me.
Yeah, I think he does have some sort of it factor, just being a good leader. Seemed like he was very much the focal point of that team. I would give him a flyer. He seems like a good backup point guard depth on the team, on like a playoff contending team that. I don't know exactly his player comp. He is 6'3", not bad. Don't love it. He's a little undersized, but like if he can just play hard-nosed defense and just be kind of opportunistic on his opportunities, a little bit better Jalen Brunson potentially.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys on Baylor, the guards, both of them are going to get drafted high because even if they don't show out on offense, you know that defense is going to translate. I like the Jalen Brunson comparison. Jared Butler, there's just not one part of his game that really sticks out to me. He's a well-rounded player. I think he does everything above average. It's just, is he elite at anything? I'm not sure. But we'll see. I think he definitely gets a chance in the NBA, going to get drafted in the first round, and he should. But now two guys that played against each other in that Gonzaga-UCLA game, the star for UCLA, Johnny Juzang, and kind of like the third man on Gonzaga, and Joel Ayayi. Your thoughts on these two guys? I really love Juzang.
I'll let you go on Juzang first because I'm more of an Ayayi guy, to be honest.
Perfect. So Juzang, to me, I think in the tournament, he showed us that he can get to his spot, pull up. He's got the height on a lot of guys guarding him, and he's able just to knock down those shots. He's a great half-court offense type of player, isolation type of player, can go out there, get his buckets. I see him coming off the bench in the NBA as that six-man scorer. That being said, I think he's a late first-round pick, right where they have him listed. I think he is the classic example of a guy who just went from nobody to a first-round pick from the NCAA tournament. And I think for good reason. I love this kid. I wanted to be a hater ever since he knocked out Michigan State and lost me money on the first four. But each game, the stage got bigger, and he played better, it seemed like. And I want a guy like that on my team.
No, that's a good point. But we've also seen players that don't really do well that have those breakout tournaments.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So like Malachi Richardson comes to mind. R.J. Hunter comes to mind. They're just flash in the pan guys. I will say for Ayayi, he's 6'5", so that's really good size. He could bring the ball up. He was bringing the ball up, and he does have a good jumper. I like his size, and I think he can defend multiple positions. I think he can guard 1 to 3 pretty effectively. And he's also just been playing against great talent. Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, and he kind of gets lost out there. Like 20 minutes go by and you're like, oh shit, he's been on the court. Like I didn't even.
But
realize.
He's got like 15 points somehow.
And so he's very timely, and I think just his size and I think his game could translate a little bit better. Juzang is very ball dominant, which obviously the NBA is sort of like that. But there's going to be an aspect of it where he can't just get a shot all the time.
Yeah, that's why I like Juzang off the bench, being that just ball dominant scorer that you need in the minutes when you're resting your stars. But to Ayayi and your point, yeah, he's a guy that quietly puts up 15 points every night for Gonzaga, and I think his game does translate very well to the NBA. He's one of those guys, anybody in that Gonzaga offense knows how to move without the ball, and he's one of those guys. He's going to find his spot, cutting to the lane, and he comes up with those timely baskets, and I can see him being on a team as a nice role player in the NBA. So I'm excited to see where he goes. Another guy in Gonzaga, my favorite player, if you couldn't tell by the facial hair today, Drew Timme. What a tournament by him. I've been preaching his name all year long. Poppy kind of second-guessed me, saying he's just going up against the WCC big men. But I think his footwork is phenomenal, and he can hit any shot in the paint. If he's in the paint, doesn't matter who's guarding him, he's scoring.
No, I love Drew Timme. His footwork is incredible. He's 6'10", solid size. I think he could probably stretch it out. I think he needs to improve his three ball a little bit and bulk up. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed another year, though. Is it confirmed he's leaving? I don't know if there's been an update.
No, not confirmed he's leaving, just the Bleacher Report. Their mock draft is what I'm going off, so assuming he's leaving.
Yeah, so I think his footwork is great. I don't know how he's going to be able to defend 4s and 5s. But I think I would take a flyer on him too. I think there's just some aspect of where he can have a fit, and if he can get it.
Like you said, the defense is what scares me. So I think he needs if he's able to hit the mid-range, the deep mid-range, the 3 a little bit, I think he's got a spot.
Yeah, if I was him, I would stay at Gonzaga and just try to win one. Just run it back. Like you're the best. You'll be the prohibited best player in the country next year. Like preseason All-American. You know, just build your credibility and then go to Spain. Don't leave early to be a second-round pick and play in Santa Cruz where, you'll get brought up 5 games out of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like Drew Timme staying. He'll be the best big man in basketball now that Luka Garza's gone, no doubt about that. So I think Drew Timme, you bring up a good point. I think he will stay now that you've convinced me. But if he does go, I think he has a chance just because of his offense, but the defense is definitely a question mark. And the final guy, we got to touch on the Houston Cougars because they had a phenomenal season. Dejan Giroux, I know, is your guy that you love in Houston. I couldn't find him on any draft boards because he's a junior, might be even a senior, so he's an older player. Tough to get in the NBA nowadays if you're not a one-and-done, two-and-done kind of guy, it seems like. But Quentin Grimes on Houston, he's their young buck, leading scorer all year, able to hit the three. Would you take a late second-round pick on him?
I would. I think his size is good. I think he was the transfer, right? Didn't he transfer somewhere?
I'm not sure if he transferred, but
I don't remember. But yeah, I like his intangibles. Like, he did impress me. Kind of gives me like some Josh Hart vibes.
Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, I think he has an opportunity. I think he'll be a second rounder as well.
Yeah, 6'5", junior, definitely got the size. He's a big guard. Able to lead a team. I think his three ball, if that just improves, it's already pretty solid. But if he can just start knocking those down, because it's hard to get quicker. You know what I mean? He's not like a quick guard. So he's going to have to be able to hit shots. And he's not big enough in the NBA to be backing down guys at the guard position. So we'll see how he fits. Definitely a player that will get drafted because he led a team to the Final Four. Come on now. Give the guy some credit. If he doesn't get drafted, I'd be pretty shocked. But the NBA draft, what is it, in June? Still got that slated for June?
Yeah, still slated for June, hopefully.
Yeah, see how that goes. The NBA season quickly coming to an end as well. Only about 15 games left to the playoffs over there. So still more basketball to be played, but the college games, we're going to have to put it to rest. But let's move over to some off-season moves on the college basketball floor before we let you go on our final episode. It's been a coaching carousel, and we're only, not even a week past the NCAA tournament being over. We already have Roy Williams announcing his retirement. Sean Miller out of Arizona, he's finally gone. Bunch of other coaches all over the place leaving, coaches moving around. Shaka Smart was a surprising one. I guess of all your coaches on the move, who was the most surprising?
That's a good question. I was thinking about who I was most shocked to see.
Was it Shaka?
So once the Shaka Smart move happened, there was obviously a vacancy at Texas. So powerhouse program, more of a football school, obviously, than a basketball school. And I was surprised Shaka left because, yeah, they got lost in the first round of the tournament, but they won the Big 12 tournament, which is like amazing considering Kansas has owned that conference forever. So I thought that accomplishment overseeded the downfall of them losing in the first round. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised. I thought they could build off of it. So maybe it was Shaka just having the opportunity of another spot, but they're the Big East. Like, what's going on over there? But so my most surprising move once that happened was Chris Beard leaving a Texas Tech program that he had built up from the ground up, was in the national championship just 2-3 years ago, 2 technical seasons ago, and now he departed to go in-state in the same conference. Probably like I don't know where Lubbock is compared to Austin, but can't be more than like 4 hours difference to a Texas program that he has the opportunity to build up again. And I was really shocked on that one.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see Chris Beard move. Obviously, Shaka Smart leaving did open up the vacancy. Shaka leaving was surprising to me too. You know, it's like, yeah, they haven't won tournament success, but he was just getting going. I guess this year was where you draw the line. I guess no tournament wins in his tenure, and he had all of his guards were finally seniors and juniors, and he still couldn't win. So I guess reasonable for him to move on. Marquette, obviously the focus at that school is all basketball. So maybe that's what he wanted. I know that's what Poppy would say if he was on here. We were talking about it earlier. He maybe just wanted to go to a basketball school. But Chris Beard, why are you leaving Texas Tech? It's a great program. You know, I feel like he liked it there. He was building something good. Obviously, Texas, there is a little more draw, so I guess the recruiting would be a little easier at Texas. But Chris Beard, that's scary at Texas.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be great for Texas. And then another surprising move, I think both Millers have been fired or resigned because Archie Miller left Indiana, and they hired former NBA coach and alumni that I just learned of Indiana, Mike Woodson.
Wow, I didn't see that. I should have went with the Mike Woodson beard today.
You could have. But, yeah, Mike Woodson, former Knick coach, is now the coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. So that's an interesting move. I don't know if he can he recruit? But
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I think the fact that he's an alum, that's a huge draw. So I'm sure the fans of Indiana love it. But yeah, Sean Miller, his brother, also out of Arizona, maybe a couple years too late after paying DeAndre Ayton. He was able to stick around for a little bit.
and just two really bad seasons. I mean, either they're going to get sanctioned or they just haven't gotten the recruits to step up. But no, I think it's back to back, no tournament for Arizona, which is pretty bad.
That's a rough look. Definitely a rough look. And then a final coaching move that we'll touch on is Loyola Chicago. Porter Moser, he's kind of been the hero of this tournament, bringing Loyola Chicago to 2 deep runs in the tourney. And he's finally getting a shot with the big dogs. He's going to the Big 12. Oklahoma Sooners, after Lon Kruger left, after they lost in their tournament game to Gonzaga, he was fired. So now they bring in Porter Moser. He's either fired or he left. I'm not sure. But Porter Moser is a great coach. I want to see him on the big stage. He was able to outcoach Illinois on their way to beating them this year. And I think he's going to outcoach many more coaches in his career. And I think Oklahoma automatically is on the rise with this hire.
Well, just going to see if he can recruit the big guns. I mean, Loyola Chicago, he had a lot of players from his previous Final Four run finally leave. Probably was a good time for him to leave now that those guys graduated. And we'll see if he can recruit at the big level. I mean, now you're going against Shaka Smart and Chris Beard instead of, whatever conference Loyola Chicago's in.
Yeah. The Missouri Valley doesn't pose many threats over there besides Drake. But Roy Williams retiring, he was the biggest news of all the coaching carousel. Pretty crazy. He kind of had some statements, too, about retiring. It didn't seem like he was ready to go. Kind of seemed like the college basketball landscape was changing, and he didn't really like it with the transfer portal. That was a big thing he brought up, guys just moving left and right all over the place. Didn't really feel like college basketball anymore. But either way, he definitely had a few more years left at North Carolina. But what a career. Obviously, was at Kansas before, went to North Carolina, 2 powerhouse teams that he just continued their winning ways. Roy Williams, going to be one that I'll tell my kids about that. They'll have no clue. They'll see his name on SportsCenter, and they'll be like, who's Roy Williams? Like, oh, my God.
Roy Williams, legendary coach. I think Pop said the stat. First time he had ever lost in the first round was this year. He was like 29-0.
That's crazy.
I've never seen that in my life. I didn't even know about that. I had to do a double take when I heard that stat. Brought a couple national championships to UNC, obviously was incredible, coached some great players. His comments about the transfer portal are valid. It's going to be crazy having all these transfers just have immediate eligibility right off the bat. So shout out to Roy Williams. He did his thing, but, maybe he'll do some being an analyst, or maybe he'll go coach a different team. Who knows what he's going to do? But I think Hubert Davis is going to be the new coach at UNC. He was a longtime ESPN analyst and was the assistant for 2 or 3 years before now and taking over. So
yeah, I do want to thank Roy Williams for giving Syracuse their one and only national championship. Syracuse was playing against Kansas, and he was the coach at Kansas at that time. So Boeheim was able to get the best of Roy Williams when it mattered. Since then, Roy Williams has pretty much dominated Syracuse in the ACC. But there'll be a new coach in the ACC. Should be exciting to see how Hubert Davis does. That's about it. It's been a fun college basketball season here on Cali to Cuse up in the Rafters. We couldn't do our last episode without a one last thing. So our one last thing, we'll just do a quick Syracuse basketball wrap-up. Kadari Richmond transferring to Seton Hall, and Merrick Dolezaj finally announced he's going to go pro and go play overseas.
2 heart-wrenching losses for Syracuse. On one end, you have a young gun in Kadari Richmond going to Seton Hall. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits. He probably has an immediate role. I thought he could have been in the Power 5 in like a really great contending team. He's that elite of a player. So I'm interested to see how that works out for him. Good luck to him. And Merrick, good luck overseas. You're going to do great things.
Yeah, Merrick, I'm hurt that he's gone. I loved every second. Him in an orange jersey. His passing ability was off the charts. He never got to really play. He's a true 4, and sadly he was playing the 5 his entire senior season. So I don't think we ever got to see the full potential of Merrick, and our offense is just shot because it's the Jim Boeheim offense. So I think Merrick definitely had more to prove, but he will be overseas, and I think he will do well overseas. Definitely a good player that can shoot, can pass, has all the offensive talent, and in Europe they don't play much defense. So a good fit for Merrick. But yeah, Kadari Richmond, Seton Hall, I think it automatically makes them a contender in the Big East. I think he's that good. I think Kadari is going to play 1 year at Seton Hall and say sayonara to the NBA.
And good luck to him because he's definitely that good.
Yeah. Syracuse, though, a lot more guys are leaving. We did get a transfer, Cole Swindler from Villanova, so we got one more guy coming in. He was a bench player. We'll see how he fits in the zone. Not really your typical zone guy, but he is one that can shoot the three very well, and that's what Boeheim likes to recruit. Syracuse is going to need a lot of help next year. Somehow, Jeff Goodman, an analyst of college basketball, ranked Syracuse 13th in his way too early college basketball rankings for next year. I don't know if he didn't get the news flash that Kadari was leaving. I don't know if he got the news flash that Jim Boeheim's staying, but there's no way Cuse is ranked next season.
13th best team in the country?
Get out of here, Jeff Goodman. Give me your job. Get out of here.
Damn, I want what he's smoking.
Exactly. But that about does it for us on Kelly the Cuse up in the Rafters. I got a dog barking in my ear here. I'm not sure if you can hear that on the audio.
We got a family to feed. We got things to do.
I think that's a good sign to wrap things up. Thanks for sticking with us in the college basketball season. Any last words for the people, Lucas?
No, thank you to everybody listening. We'll be back soon enough. We're going to have some more episodes for you down the road, but it was a great season. We were pretty good, A.Scott. I feel like we recorded every week pretty consistently for a good 4 or 5 months. So that's fucking good shit out of us. I mean, screw all the listeners. I'm just proud of us for getting together once a week for the past 4 months.
Yeah, it's tough juggling schedules, but yeah, I think this is our 16th episode. Everyone dropped on Friday except for the last couple. Got a little screwy. This one's coming out on Saturday. Thanks for listening. Thank you to The Challenge for all their help getting our podcast out there. Hopefully we can work on that merch soon. Definitely stay tuned for the updates at Kelly the Cuse on Twitter. I'm Anthony Scott for Lucas Silverman. It's been real, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.